But we're going to be talking to you now about some original resources that we have created here at the Immigrant Learning Center's Public Education Institute, specifically highlighting immigrant stories and contributions in U.S. history. Ariana is going to take it away now.
Oh, thanks very much, Denzil. And I wanted to say first that if you're interested in hearing more about authentic stories in the next hour, we're going to be talking about that a whole lot more. But first, I'd like to talk about some materials and resources that we at the Immigrant Learning Center have created for teachers. It's a way to help you incorporate immigration and immigrant stories into your curriculum and into your teaching. So Denzil is going to talk about the broad hub that we've created that's for all different ages and ranges and subject matters. But I wanted to dive right in and tell you about a series that we've created for middle and high school social studies teachers. And so I thought the best way to introduce them would be by jumping right in and doing an activity from the lesson itself. So with that, I'd like you all to go to the chat and answer this question. What is loyalty? What does it mean to you? When you hear this word, what do you think of? Trust, being a friend through thick or thin, supporting what matters to you, having someone's back. Now, what about loyalty in relation to place? Does that change it for you at all? Staying genuine, supporting someone in a meaningful way, patriotism, being a fan even when your team is losing, that's something we're going to be talking about, standing up for a place, feeling faithful, feeling at home. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to do a sort of rapid fire. I'm going to give some statements and I want you to say whether you strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. Now, if we were in the classroom, we recommend doing this as an active activity. So perhaps the 4 corners, where each of the corners of the room would be strongly agree, etc. And then students could get up and move to that area and talk with each other or talk to the whole group. Or if you have a very long wall, you could have strongly agree on one side, strongly disagree on the other. And then students could go anywhere along that wall, which even gives a little bit more nuance. But since we're in this virtual arena, we're going to do it instead as polls. So we're going to do some quick polls. So first, what I'd like you to say is loyalty doesn't change. Do you agree, strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree? So most people disagree. People are loyal to the place they are born. What do you think? Do you agree with this? Disagree? Somewhere in the middle? And of course, with your students, this would be an opportunity to start having more discussions about these, but we're going to go through it quickly. So it's somewhat divided opinions here. People are loyal to the place that they are born. And of course, there's no right or wrong with any of this. It's discussion, up for discussion. All right, next. People are loyal to the place they live. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Some people are finding it hard to be loyal. And again, people are somewhat split. There's a lot of nuance to this and a lot of different discussions we could have about this. The next one, people can be loyal to several places at once. What do you think about this? As you can see, we're talking a lot about loyalty and place. Most people agree to this, or with this. People can be loyal to several places at once. And how about this? Is it possible to prove loyalty? It's possible to prove loyalty. Do you agree with this? Disagree with this? Somewhere in the middle? Most people agree that it's possible to prove loyalty. And now for our last question. It's necessary to prove loyalty. What do you think about this? And most people disagree that it's necessary. So what we're going to do is this is the very opening activity in the lesson that we have about the US Civil War. And we talk about soldiers and their loyalty and how people reacted to different immigrant soldiers and question their loyalty. Right after that, what we ask students to do, and what I'm going to ask you to do, is to look at these 2 Civil War recruitment posters. And when you look at this, what immediately jumps out at you in the chat box? What do you notice? Is there anything that immediately jumps out at you? Symbols of nationalism. Oops, sorry, let me go back. images, the flag, ethnicity. Right, they're not even targeting immigrants. Yes, because they're in other languages. Yes, there's lots of yelling. And if you can, I don't know if you can zoom in on my screen, but they also talk about bounty, which is a word that we define for students, that people can get money for life signing up. Exactly. So this is how we introduce the topic to the students. And just to give you some quick interesting stats, in 1860, about 13% of the US population was born overseas, which is about roughly what it is today. But 1 in every 4 members of the Union Army was an immigrant. And if you add on top of that, another 18% had at least one foreign-born parent. So that means that immigrants and the children of immigrants made up about 43% of Union soldiers. Whereas for the Confederacy, it was about 5%. If we look at the largest groups, they were from Germany, Ireland, and the United Kingdom, and then most of the others came from Canada and the rest of Europe. However, there were smaller but still significant numbers from China, Mexico, and Hawaii. So if you want to learn more about these stories and about what happened, more about immigrant soldiers in the Civil War, I encourage you to read the rest of our lesson plan. I'm not going to go at it now since we are going to run out of time. But we have students do a lot of different things in this lesson. They have to work with primary and secondary sources. We ask them to draw conclusions and form independent opinion, really talking about this question of loyalty. And I would definitely like to shout out to Megan Rosenberg, who is our fantastic curriculum developer, and she developed a lot of these activities that we're doing now and put this together for us. Now, this is just one lesson. We have many others. We've started with the American Revolution, done another one on Chinese immigration in the 19th century, and this one that I just drew these activities from is on the Civil War. We have another one coming out very soon about restoration, and we're going to be working our way through other important periods in history in the next year or so. So if you sign up for our social media or our mailing list, we will let you know when those are ready, and I hope that you use them. And please let us know how it goes if you use them in your classroom, because we would love to have more feedback. Now, where can you find these lessons? With that, I'm going to turn it over to Denzil. They're all available for free, and Denzil will show you the best way to access them.
Thank you, Ariana. Just make sure there's no echo, right? Yes, so we have always had an Educate Hub on our website. Unfortunately, this is what it looks like. Not particularly appealing. All these long lists of original and curated materials. We're happy to announce that we now have this beautiful and searchable Educator Hub that you can see on our website, and Aidan will put the link in the chat box. So this is our new Educator Resource Hub. We have it divided into categories such as immigrant trauma and mental health, the citizenship application practice test and interview, immigrant and immigration stories, teaching immigration lesson plans and resources, family and parental engagement, of course, US immigration data and policy, which will continually be updated, teaching refugee, unaccompanied minor, and SLIFE students, and resources for undocumented students and DACA students. And if you scroll all the way down, you can start seeing the resources that are here. So first of all, you can search right here. We were just talking about the Civil War. And if I search Civil War, I will see that we get teaching immigration and the American Civil War, plus Welcome to the New World, the graphic novel that I mentioned earlier on. Of course, that's talking about the Syrian Civil War, a whole other Syrian Civil War. And let's see, reset. You can search by media. So let's say you want to find a video for high school students in social studies and civics, social justice and civics. Let's see what we get. Art and Remembrance lesson plans from the Anti-Defamation League, Global Immigration Resources, and Immersion, a short fiction film. So when you click on these here, it takes you to the different categories that we have. So this one is teaching immigration lesson plans and resources. And as you can see, we have a variety that have been curated from partner organizations such as the Anti-Defamation League, Reimagining Migration, Teaching Tolerance, and a number of others. And these have all been expertly curated for you so that you can find these materials easily and quickly as you need them. We also have an account partnership with Share My Lesson. So we have several materials available on sharemylesson.com, which is from the American Federation of Teachers. And we take a variety of sources. So even like the History Channel, PBS, NPR, New York Times, different kinds of media as well. So embedded in this is almost a critical look at the sources that you choose and the sources that your students choose in order to gain knowledge and learning. So you can find this. It's completely free. It is easily searchable. It will be continually updated. And we will also be doing, as we go along, we will create professional development on-demand modules that you can do and hopefully collect professional development credit, or at least certificate of completion for.